Hello, good afternoon everybody. So I'm continuing the module 3 of big data analytics, which was conducted in the previous classes. Before starting out the class, I'd like to ask all the students whether they are staying safe, and I request all of you to be staying safe, stay home. Okay, so let us continue the session. So we dealt with module 3, that is on business intelligence concepts and applications. So business intelligence is an umbrella that includes a variety of IT applications that are used to analyze an organization's data, which is communicated to the related users. And we have also come across a BIDM cycle, that is business intelligence data mining cycle, and we have come across business intelligence for better decisions. So there are two types of decisions. One is strategic decision and operational decisions. So strategic decisions are those that impact the direction of the company. The decision to reach out to a new customer set would be a strategic decision, and operational decisions are more routine and tactical decisions focused on development of developing greater efficiency. Okay, so the example is an updating an old website with new features will be an operational decision. Strategic decisions are those which are purely dependent on they will be directly depending on the company. So the decisions made based on the several strategies. So in strategic decisions making, the goal itself may or may not be clear, and the same is true for the path to reach the goal. So we have also come across business intelligence tools. So there are several tools such as spreadsheet tool, Microsoft Excel, and other graph tools, dashboarding tools such as IBM Cognos, Tableau, etc. So which are used for analyzing our data. And coming to business intelligence applications, there are various applications which are used, like customer relation CRM, that is customer relationship management. So where actually it is used, so which is used for maximizing the return on marketing campaigns, improving customer retention, etc. And it also maximizes the customer value, that is cross upselling, identifying delight, high valued, and managing brand image. And we have also come across healthcare and wellness, so where actually it is used for diagnosing the diseases in patients and how it is treated, treatment effectiveness, wellness management, manage fraud and abuse, and public health management, etc. And it is also used in education. So under education it is used for student enrollment, recruitment, courses offering, etc. And it is also used in retail organizations for creating meetings, grow by meeting customer needs. Based on that it is used. And it is also used in banking. So in banking it is used for automate the loan application process, whether the person is eligible for processing his or her loan, or whether he is not eligible. That is done with the help of analysis. And it is also used for detecting fraudulent transactions, and it is also used for maximizing customer values, and it is used for optimize cash reverses with forecasting. And it is also used in various areas such as financial services, insurance, manufacturing, telecom, public sector, etc. And we have also dealt with a data warehouse. So these concepts I am dealing it in a review manner, since we have dealt the same content in the previous classes. So data warehouse is something like it is an organized way of collecting a collection of integrated subject-oriented databases designed to support decision support functions. So data warehouse design considerations. There are four to five basic considerations, which are based on subject-oriented, integrated, time-variant, non-volatile, summarized, non-normalized, metadata. So near real-time or right-time active, and so on. So subject-oriented is nothing but to be effective, the data warehouse should be designed around a subject domain. So it should be with respect to a particular subject, and it should be integrated. So the data warehouse should be including various functions that can shed light on a particular subject area, and time variant. So it is also time variant, non-volatile, summarized. We have come across data warehouse development approaches. There are two different approaches, fundamentally different approaches. Then one is top down and the other one is bottom up. So top down approach is to make comprehensive data warehouse, so that covers all the reporting needs of the enterprise. The bottom up approach is a small data mart. So data mart here is a bottom up approach, and data warehouse, which comprises of all the reports that are required for the enterprise, is a data warehouse. And we have the data warehouse architecture. So data warehouse architecture comprises of four elements, that is data sources, so data transformation, so data mart or data warehouse, and how this particular data is accessed. Okay. So this is data warehouse. And data mining. So data mining is the art of science, like as I have told previously, data mining, which all of you know that. So it is an art and science of discovering knowledge, that we also call it as knowledge discovery data. So KDD process, right? So science of discovering knowledge, insight and patterns in data. It is the act of extracting the useful patterns from an organized collection of data. So here is an example. If there is a customer who purchases cheese and milk, are also possible for purchasing. 90% of the people among them there is a chance of purchasing bread also. So that and people with blood pressure with 160 and age greater than 65 are at a high risk of dying from a heart stroke. So these are the examples. Okay, so from here let us go in depth. So gathering and selecting data. So gathering and selecting data, the total amount of data in the world is doubling every 18 months. So there is a very ever growing avalanches of data coming with higher velocity, volume and variety. So velocity in the sense it comes at a very faster rate. Like for example, in our Facebook or Twitter, we come across several images which are uploaded, videos uploaded, and there are several clicks done every second for likes, you like several videos, likes are clicked and so on. And coming to volume, it is of a huge volume. The data comes off with a huge volume. And variety in the sense, as I told you many times, the data might be of structured, semi-structured or unstructured. So the data is of different varieties, that is, it can be a structured variety which is in the form of rows and columns, relational data, or it can be semi-structured, or it can be unstructured, which comprises of videos, audios, etc. One has to make these judicious decisions about what to gather and what to ignore based on the purpose of the data mining exercise. Okay. So we have most of the organizations develop a model called as enterprise data model, so to organize their data. So gathering and curating data takes time and effort, particularly when it is unstructured or semi-structured. So it is very difficult for us to gather the data which is in the form of unstructured or semi-structured. So unstructured data comes in many forms, like as I told previous, it is like database, blogs, images, videos, audios and charts, etc. So there are streams of unstructured social media data from blogs, chats and tweets. So there are streams of machine generated data from connected machines, that can be your RFID tags, the IoT, etc. So eventually the data should be rectangularized, that is put in rectangular data shape with clear columns and rows before submitting it to a data mine. So why this is required is, like, this is a major task in any data mining project. So in any data mining project, the data should be in a cleaned manner. So it should be clean and ready to use in any data mining project, and hence the most of the time consumed in any data mining project is for cleaning process. So let us look into what is data cleansing and preparation. So the quality of data, why we have to do this is, the quality of data is critical to success and value of data mining project. So data from internal operations is likely to be a higher quality, as it will be accurate and consistent. So data from social media, so data from internal operations is likely to be higher quality and it will be accurate and consistent, because it is from a single operations. Whereas data from social media, you can't predict what data is coming and what data is going out, and who is uploading that particular data and so on. Hence it is less under the control of business and is less likely to be reliable. So data almost certainly needs to be cleansed and transformed before it can be used for data mining. There are many ways in which data can be cleaned. Data cleaning, in the sense, it should be, there are several things which are, for example, there might be several values which are missing, filling up the missing values, rigging in the effects of outliers, and transforming fields, binning continuous variables, and much more. So before it could be ready for analysis. So as I told previously, data cleansing and preparation is a labor intensive or a semi-automated activity that can take up 60 to 70% of your time needed for any data mining project. So here redundancy should be removed. So that is duplicate data need to be removed. When merging the data sets, data must be duped. While you are merging the data sets, the data must be duped. So like when you have merged, like which we might have come across whenever we copy our contacts from one phone to another phone. So most of the contacts will be in duplicate. So in that case, we always merge the contacts. Hope so all of you have done this. Similarly, here if there are any duplicate data, that should be removed, and missing values need to be filled. So if there are any missing values, that need to be filled in the with the average or model or default values. So if some value is missing, so in such case, if some value is missing in some column or somewhere, so that particular data whichever is missing can be filled with some average value or a model or a default value. You can set some default value, or you can compute the average value and fill in wherever the data is missing. So data elements should be comparable. So data elements whichever are stored should be comparable, and continuous values may need to be binned into a few buckets to help with some analysis. Work experience could be binned in as low, medium and high. So the outlier data elements need to be removed after a careful review. So ensure that here missing values to be filled, and data should be comparable, and continuous values need to be binned, and outlier data elements need to be removed after careful review. So ensure that the data is representative of the phenomena under analysis by correcting off for any biases in the selection process. Data need to be selected to increase information. So outputs of data mining. So the outputs of data mining, among the outputs, so the most commonly used one is decision tree. So one of the popular form of data mining output is decision tree. It is hierarchically branched structure that helps visually follow the steps to make model based decision. So we can see we can find a decision tree to check whether that particular for example, if a customer is eligible for processing his or her loan, so that can be done in form of decision tree. So the output can be in the form of a regression equation or mathematical function that represents the best fitting curve to represent the data. So to evaluate the data, so we have two types of data mining processes. One is supervised learning and the other one is unsupervised learning, so which all of you know, which you have learnt in our previous semesters in machine learning. Okay, in supervised learning, a decision model can be created using past data, and the model can be used to predict the correct answer for future data instances. So classification is the main category of supervised learning activity. So there are many classification activities such as your decision trees, and we have also come across confusion metrics where we calculate the predictive accuracy, that is based on correct predictions divided by total predictions. So this is your confusion matrix, like we have true positive, true negative, false negative and false positive. We have come across an example of cancer patient, right? And here false positive and false negative are the most dangerous things, and to calculate predictive accuracy, we take up total positive plus total negative divided by all, that is sum of all total positive, total negative, false positive and false negative. Okay, there are no very good objective measures to judge the accuracy of unsupervised learning techniques, such as there is cluster analysis. We have cluster analysis and association rule mining. So to brief you out, which we have come across decision trees, the most commonly used technique for many. Decision trees are easy to understand and easy to use by analysts as well as executives. They also show high predictive accuracy. Decision trees select the most relevant variables automatically out of all the available variables for decision making. So decision trees are tolerant for data quality issues and do not require much data preparation from the users, and even non-linear relationships can be handled well by decision trees. So there are many non-linear relationships and many algorithms are existing, such as decision trees and C5, CART, CHAID and so on. And coming to regression, so regression is a statistical model which is a statistical mining technique. The goal of regression is to derive some smooth, well-defined curve to the best the data. So regression analysis, for example, can be used to model and predict the energy consumption as a function of a daily temperature. So based on the daily temperature, what is the energy consumed can be computed and we can draw a curve. Applying non-linear regression equation will fit the data very well with high accuracy, and the accuracy of the regression model depends on entirely upon the data set used and not at all on the algorithm or tools used. And we have artificial neural network. So artificial neural network is also a sophisticated data mining technique from the artificial intelligence stream in computer science. So ANN mimics the behavior of human neural net structure. So there exist several neurons, which you have learned in your previous semester as an elective. So neurons, there exist several neurons. Neurons receive stimuli, process them and communicate their results to other neurons successively, and eventually a neuron outputs a decision. A decision task may be processed by just one neuron, and a result may be communicated, or alternatively there could be many layers of neurons involved in decision task depending upon the complexity and the domain. Okay, so the neural networks can be trained by making a decision over and over again with many data points. So that is, you can take many data points and you can again and again test it. So it will be continue to learn by adjusting its internal computation and communication parameters based on the feedback received on its previous decisions. So artificial neural networks are popular because they are eventually able to reach a high predictive accuracy. Okay, so artificial neural networks are also relatively simple to implement and do not have any issues with the data quality. So there are however, artificial neural network requires a lot of data to train. That is, you require that lot of data which is required for training process. And like we have last but one, that is on cluster analysis. Clustering is nothing but a grouping or It is an exploratory technique that helps in identifying a set of similar groups in data. It is a technique used for automatic identification of natural grouping of things. So data instances that are similar to or near each other are categorized into one cluster. So best example right now is like to check our COVID-19, there are several clusters which are formed, which you might have come across in various news bulletins, right? So one person affected with COVID-19, then from him how many members are affected, so a cluster is formed. So from one person how many persons are getting infected, so that entire thing becomes one cluster. Similarly, here also it is a cluster. It is a technique used for automatic identification of natural grouping things. So while data instances that are very difficult or far away from each other are categorized into separate clusters, and the best technique used here for clusters is k-means technique, which is already dealt in previous semesters. Clustering is also known as the segmentation technique. It helps divide and conquer large data sets, and the outputs is the centroids for each cluster and allocation of data points to their cluster. The centroid definition is used to new data instances can be assigned to their cluster homes. So that is like in a cluster a single node can be made as a cluster head. Clustering is also a part of artificial intelligence family of techniques. So this is an example of here you have classification. So under classification, the best example for classification is your SVM, super vector machines, and regression. So this is a regression which requires more amount of data for computation. So here this is a clustering wherein you have various groups of C1, C2, C3 which is grouped. Okay. So last is nothing on association rules, right? Association rules are popular data mining methods in business, especially where selling is involved, also known as market basket analysis. This is also known as market basket analysis, and the best algorithm which you might have come across here for association rules is your a priori algorithm. Okay, so this is a heart of personalization engine used by e-commerce sites like Amazon.com, Netflix.com, etc. And the technique helps in finding interesting relationships between variables, that is items. So frequent item sets you might have come across in your a priori algorithm in data mining. Okay, so they are represented using X and Y. So tools and platforms which are used for data mining, simple or sophisticated. There are simple tools which are used like your MS Excel or IBM's SPSS modeler, and standalone or embedded. There are standalone tools which are used like your ERP system, enterprise resource planning system, and open source or commercial which are based on various tools such as Vika. Vika is a open source which you can download it and use it. So user interface based, there are text based and GUI based. And data formats, there are tools that work only on proprietary data formats, and there are those directly accept data from host and a host of popular data management tool formats. Okay, so here is a comparison table which you can look into later. Who is the ownership, data mining feature, what all it is used, standalone, whether it is standalone or not, and user skills, etc. So data mining best practices are effective and successful use of data mining activity requires both business and technology skills. So the data mining industry has proposed CRISP, we call it as cross industry standard process for data mining, so which comprises of various phases. Business understanding, next we go for data understanding, data preparation and modeling, evaluation and deployment. So if there is any data which is missing in the evaluation phase, you can always go back to business understanding. So this is your CRISP model, the most commonly used in data mining. So finally, how once we do this data mining process, how best we can view that data. So the viewing of data is based on data visualization. It is an art of science. The data, once it is mined, it should be represented clearly to make it understood by the end user. So the ideal visualization shows the right amount of data in the right order in the right visual form, so to convey the high priority information. So the right visualization requires understanding of customer needs, etc. So excellence in visualization. Data visualization presents the following objectives for graphical excellence. How best you can show or exhibit your data, show and even reveal the data, induce the reviewer to think of the substance of the data, avoid distorting what the data have to say, and make large data sets coherent, and encourage the eyes to the compare different pieces of data. So reveal the data at several levels of detail, serve reasonable a clear purpose, closely integrate with the statistical and verbal description. So coming to first, show and even reveal the data should tell a story, especially a story hidden in large masses of data. So that is, it should be clearly explanatory. Once you show the data, it should be understood by the end user, and induce the viewer. So the format of the graph should be in a natural way, and it hides itself and lets data shine. And statistics can be used to lie in the name of simplifying some crucial data, so making large data sets. And so to represent or to visualize this particular data, we have various types of charts. One is line graph, scatter plot, bar graph, stacked bar graphs, and histograms, etc. So these are the various graphs which are available. So one is pie chart, which represents in format percentage form, and there is a line graph, and there is high-low, which is bar graph. We have area graph, Gantt charts, etc. Okay, so here is an example which you can go through later. So visualization, to demonstrate how each of visualization tools can be used, and imagine an executive for a company who wants to analyze the sales performance of his division. So here is a data which is based on product, revenue, orders, and salesperson. And in detail, if you go, so product wise, revenue, orders, salesperson, revenue per order, revenue per salesman, and orders per salesman can be evaluated, and it should be represented, or it should be visualized. So this completes the module 3, the left out content of module 3, and wherein we can continue with module 4 in the next sessions. Hope so. Due to some technical issues, I could not engage an online class, hence I am recording this. Hope so you all of you follow this, and if there are any queries, you can put it in a comment section, and the same session I will be uploading it in my YouTube channel, and will be sharing you the link of my channel wherein you can view it. And once you view the once the session is finished, finally you have to mention a comment to consider your attendance. Okay, and further I will also upload my session on module 4 in the further classes. Thank you.